Hey, how you doing? Today I'm going to be doing some work on teaching you how to use TinkerCAD. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. So for those of you who do not know what TinkerCAD is, TinkerCAD is a CAD software. And for those of you who don't know what CAD software is, CAD software is software that actually allows you to design things. So CAD stands for Computer Aided Design, CAD, Computer Aided Design. And with TinkerCAD, it gives you a very approachable way to do computer aided design. And so we recently lost an architect who's responsible for a lot of architecture all over the world, especially here in Chicago. And today I wanted to show you guys how to create things using TinkerCAD. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the website here, again, TinkerCAD, and I want to create a new design in here. I'm going to go ahead and just give you a quick rundown of the interface. Over here on this side, you have controls. This is the home button. This takes you back to your original view. This block right here sort of controls what view you have, and so you can either grab it with your mouse and turn it around, okay? Or what you can do is you can hit the home button and it'll take you back to your original view. So if I like to do it like that and then hit the home button, it's back to my original view. This zooms in, zooms out. This button right here, if I have an object on the table or on the work plane that I want to focus in on, if I hit this button, it'll focus on whatever I've selected. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what this button does. I've tried it, I played around with it. I've never actually bothered to look up what it does because whenever I click the button, it doesn't seem to do anything useful. Although I'm sure it does have a use, I just don't know what that use is. So that's that. Up here at the top, you have copy. You have copy. You have paste. You have a duplicate button and a trash button. Over here, you have a work plane. You have a ruler so you can measure things. You can actually leave notes on measurements and stuff. Right here, you have a list of shapes that you can use in order to build stuff. These are the basic shapes. You do up here have other types of shapes you can use. So here's stuff like character shapes you can use if you want to do something, or you can also do things that people have made. So this is maker stuff you can do at home if you want to try experiments. Or if you there's a this is actually furniture and stuff for a house. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to create I'm going to create a really basic house. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make a very basic fundamental house. And what you can do with this is after you finish making the house, you can download the file and you can 3D print it. And I'm not sure how many of you all have ever used a 3D printer or know what a 3D printer is, but if you come to Coding Club, I will show you how to create things for a 3D printer. And then maybe one day if we get to actually meet IRL, I can actually let you use a 3D printer and print your stuff up. But first of all, let's go ahead and let's pull this out. So I'm pulling out a basic cube, right? And I can, again, if I click on my right mouse button, I can move things around. If you look at the basic cube, it has 6 sides, of course, and it's the same measurement on each side. If you want to know what the measurements are, if you click on the cube itself and then click on one of these little dots, it'll give you measurements. So this corner dot tells me that it's a 20 millimeter by 20 millimeter. And how do I know this is millimeters? Because right down here where it says snap grid, it tells me that the grid is being measured in millimeters. Oh, you can't see that because my big head is in the way. Let's see if I can get my big head out of the way. So let's move my big head out of the way. My big head is out of the way. So if you look down here, it measures things in millimeters. If I hit the edit grid, I can actually decide if I want to do this in millimeters, inches, and bricks. And I'll discuss the bricks in a minute. Okay, so I can go ahead and I can not just see the measurement, but I can manipulate the measurement. So if I grab this right here, I'm going to change. So if I grab this one in the middle, I can change the depth of the cube. If I grab this one right here, I can change the width of the cube. And then if I change my view and I grab this one here at the top, I can change the height of the cube. And I can also change any one of those metrics by just clicking on it and then putting in the number that I want. So let's say I just want this to be even 40. It'll automatically size this to the size that I want it to be. Okay. Let's just make this a cube. 40 by 40 cube, right? But for the purposes of what we're building here, I actually would just like this to be like a regular size cube. So I think the original measurements are 20 by 20 by 20. So I'm going to change this back to 20. I'm going to change this back to 20. And I'm going to change this back to 20. And I'm back to my grid. The other way I could have fixed that though is just by hitting the undo button a bunch of times. If you hit the undo button, it eventually just takes you back to where you started. Okay, and I really suggest using the undo button or anything else. I think I want to keep my little head up here at the top. That way you can see what I'm doing without my giant face getting in the way. How about that? Okay. Matter of fact, let's just make it a little bit smaller so it's not so much in the way. Okay, so you guys can see that I have a cube here, and this is going to be the front part of my house. Okay, so now if you have a house, you want to add a roof. Now I go ahead and grab this part right here. It literally says roof. Okay, that's going to be my roof, and only problem is that the roof is supposed to be on top and it's not on top. Well, if I want to move the elevation of my roof, you'll notice that there's a cone here at the top. I'll scroll in. There's a cone right here. If I click on this, oh wait, I just realized everything is black because I have a filter on. Let's turn that filter off so you can see the colors. There we go. So now you can see the colors. And so here I have this little cone right here. If I grab it, I can change the elevation. But now I can spend a whole lot of time trying to get this to fit on and trying to move it around from angle to angle and making sure that it fits. And I'm going to show you a really quick and fast and easy way to do that. First of all, I know that I want to put the roof directly on top of my house, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another work plane. If I click on this here where it says work plane and drag it over to the top of my house, I get like this really flat area, like a second work plane, right? Besides the one that my triangle is on, or my cube is on. And then if I go ahead and click on my roof, and then I hit the D button on my keyboard, it automatically goes down to the work plane. And then if I want them to line up, watch this. I'm going to hold the shift button on my computer, click the roof, click my cube, and then up here I have an alignment button. If I click the alignment button, I get these dots. And if I click on this right here, it'll sort of show you a preview. It's going to align my roof and my cube right in the middle where this is. Boom. Right? And it's still a little bit off center. Again, I'm going to click the alignment button, and now I want it to line up right here. Boom. And now my house is perfectly on top of my cube, and I can get rid of the work plane by going over here again, dragging over, and now it's gone. Okay, so now I have a very basic rudimentary house. Very nice, very, very good. So now what I want to do is I want to make my house a little bigger. I mean, it looks a little small right now. No, let's not make it bigger yet. Let's not do that just yet. Let's go ahead and let's add some features like a door and some windows. And so I'm going to do like an impression of a door. So I'm going to grab this block right here. Now these blocks right here, what happens is that if you click on them, you'll notice they're a bit transparent because these represents holes. I'm going to show you how to use these to make a hole. First, let's shrink this down until it's about door size. So I'm going to go back right here, grab this in, pull it in, right? I do want it to still be a little deep though, okay? And then I'm going to move this fella right over to my house. And you'll notice that I keep changing position, that I keep changing my perspective because I want to make sure that my piece is where it is. And sometimes if you're in 3 dimensions, like if I'm looking at it head on like this, it looks like it's in the house, like where I want it, but it really isn't. It really isn't at all, right? Because if I go at the top, I see it's very far away. So I'm going to keep changing positions as I move things so I know everything is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the door into the house. And I'm going to make sure that it's about the depth that I want it. And you'll see this giving me a little outline here at the bottom. And zoom in. It's giving me a little outline here at the bottom to let me know about how deep that is. Okay? Now that I've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my whole square or cube. I'm going to select my main cube together, hold down shift and do them together. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to hold down shift and select this, then hold down shift and select this. Keep holding down shift and it'll select both things at the same time. Another way of doing it is by drawing a box around that sort of encompasses both shapes, okay? And they're both selected. And then I'm going to go up here where it says group. And when I hit group, boom, it cuts out a little hole for my door. And I can do the same thing for windows. As a matter of fact, let's do this. Instead of doing them one at a time, let me undo. Let me go up here to my duplicate button. We hit duplicate. And what it's going to give me is a copy of my first thing. And I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit. Uh-oh. There we go. And let's make it a little smaller. And let's bring it in a little bit. Okay. And you see that it's also going inside of the house some. And I'm going to move it over. And I'm going to duplicate it. Just hit the duplicate button. Hit this other copy and move it over here. I'm trying to understand how that's a duplicate. Let's try that again. I'm going to select this right here, hit duplicate. And now I can use my arrow keys. I'm just going to move it over here. Okay. And again, how fast and how far this moves has a lot to do depending on the snap button right here. If I change this from 1 to like from 1 millimeter to like a 1/4 millimeter, you'll notice that when I try and move it, it moves a little slower. Okay, this is great for making small adjustments. If you're trying to make a very, very fine adjustment, you can just go ahead and turn this off and it will move very slowly so you can make fine adjustments. Okay, great. Now, now that I have all those 3 things, I got my door and my 2 windows where I want them. I can again use my left. I can select all of this. Boom, and then hit union. It's going to carve out the spaces for my door and my window, right? If I want, I can add a garage. Take another piece again, make it smaller, and I don't think I need a garage just as wide as my whole house. I mean, you know, if you're rolling like that, if that's how you do things, if that's where you come from, like Tupac, I ain't mad at you. But we're going to assume that the garage is going to be somewhat smaller than the house. Let's say half the length of the house, about there. Okay. So there, and I'm going to put a little garage on it. Let's want to use a wedge instead. Oh Lord. Okay. Let's take our wedge now. You notice the wedge is not in the position I need. I need this flat end to go against the edge of the house. So the way I can do that, the way I can rotate it is, you notice this little curved rainbow shape arrow right here? I can use that and I can turn my snap back on. I can use that and I can actually rotate this the way I want it. Now, you saw me just do that by hand. Because I know my math, and I'm not making fun of anybody that doesn't know their math, but because I know my math, I'm just undo this. Instead of rotating it manually, I can just go ahead and punch in the numbers. And I say that I want this to be, let's see how well I know my math. Let's say I want to turn this 90 degrees. I'm going to have to make that negative 90 degrees. Let me see. Nope, yeah, that was wrong. So undo. Let's make that negative 90 degrees. And there it is. It turns in the position that I want it. But I also need to make it, so how long is this? This is 11.83, right? And again, this is where being able to know the exact measurement works. I can go over here and just turn this number into 11.83, and now it's the length. I'm going to make this, say 5, a length of 5, make it short. And of course, to see how long is this, it is 6.67, so I want this to also be 6.67. So that now it's about the same size of the garage and covers it perfectly. And again, I can do my same work plane trick. If I just click it here, boom, I have a work plane. If I hit D, this comes up to the work plane, and then I can move it over until it's flat against the edge of the house. Let's align those up. Again, select both of those things, shift, and select the other thing, hit my alignment, and I want to align it right here in the middle, right? Boom. Now they've lined up, okay? And then I can click over here and get rid of my workspace, and now I've got a garage, a little shed or garage on the side of my house, okay? Now, since we have a little time, I want to show you exactly how we would use this for 3D printing, okay? Let me pull up my, okay, so first thing I want to do is that now that I have this done, first of all, I want to make sure it has a name. Now, we use TinkerCAD, it automatically gives you like these really ridiculous names so you don't end up having a bunch of files called untitled. But at the same time, this is like nonsense language. So let's go ahead and let's say, I want to name this one Basic House, okay, because this is a basic house, right? And then now that it has a name, I'm going to export it. Now, if I'm doing this in a classroom environment, I usually require you to put a name on it because oftentimes we're only using 1 or 2 3D printers in the classroom, so it's easier if everybody uses the same format. So instead of saying just Basic House, I might just say Rain's Basic House, okay? And now I'm going to export this. Make sure, first of all, that nothing is selected, okay? So you do that usually by clicking away from the house. Just click in some area that's not the house. Go to export, make sure it says everything in the design, and then click on STL. And STL is the file format that computers understand. I'm going to save this in my 3D printing folder. That's where I save all my stuff. Release Rain's Basic House STL, hit save, right? Now, you see it opens up at this thing called Cura, as a Cura file. In order to get Cura, you want to sort of go to the Cura website and download the software. So if you just put in Cura downloads, your search engine should take you right to the website. It's a website called Ultimaker. You can download the Cura for free. It updates like every couple of months. It updates, and so you may have to keep doing the updates, but it's a free download, and you can use this in order to prepare your sculpture that you just made for 3D printing. Another little note about 3D printing, I almost forgot. You'll see that I have a bunch of different colors, and you can see I can actually change the color of anything on here. If I click on where it says solid, I can pick any color that I want, okay? One thing that is important to remember for class is that when you're 3D printing, it doesn't matter what colors you use in TinkerCAD, it's all going to come out the same color in the 3D printer. Whatever type of filament is loaded in the 3D printer, that's the color that's going to be printed out. So oftentimes for projects that you're doing for 3D printing, it really does not make a difference what you color everything. And oftentimes the colors are just aids for you to be able to tell different types of shapes apart, or to classify your sculpture in different ways, right? But again, these colors are not going to actually print out on the 3D printer. If you put black filament in a 3D printer, your sculptures will come out all black. If you put red filament in, it will come out all red. If you put green filament in, it will come out all green. You get the point, right? But if you are just doing this solely so that people can look at it online on the computer, yeah, go nuts, go crazy. Another little fun thing is that you can use, as you're picking colors, you can take any object, really any color, and turn it into a hole. And so you see I just turned my roof into a hole. You can also combine everything into one solid shape, because right now if I move my roof, it moves independently. Undo. But if I go ahead, I select the whole thing. I just draw a square around the whole thing, or selection box around the whole thing, and then hit merge. It all becomes one piece. So if I move one piece, the whole thing moves. Okay, and that's a nice to know, especially if you spend a lot of time aligning things up and getting them right where you want them, but you might have to move them as a group. You could do that. And so now that I have that downloaded, I have this program called Cura. I'm going to open up Cura, C-U-R-A, and then I'm going to load my house. And so Cura is going to open, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my view over to Cura, so you can see what I'm doing when that software actually does open. Let's give it a minute. It's taking a while. Okay, here we go. Ultimaker Cura. All right, let me open up that software. Boom. There we go. Okay, so this is the software Ultimaker Cura. What I'm going to do is when I open this up, I am going to hit my open key. I'm going to go to my 3D, to the folder where I saved this. I named it Basic House. I think these are in alphabetical order. You see, I'm always printing things. Oh, you can't see my open dialog. Okay. So what happened is a little window just opened up for me to find my sculpture. I'm looking for under B for Basic House. No, it's under Rain's Basic House, so it should be under R. Hello, Rain's Basic House. Click, and there's my house. So what it does is it sort of shows you the size of the plate that it's going to be printing on in the 3D printer. And it also shows you, like, so you get an idea of how big it's going to be, right? If you don't like the size, you can change some things in this program. And just to tell you what this program is, this program is something called a slicer. So whenever you make a 3D model, you want a 3D printer to read it, 3D printer only reads coordinates, X, Y, and Z axis, right? So what a slicer does is it takes whatever sculpture you've made in TinkerCAD, and then it turns every point of this into an X, Y, and Z axis, and then it sends that to a little printer head that uses the X, Y, and Z axis to decide where to put down the plastic type material, okay? If I do want to make this bigger, I can go over here to where it says scale, and I can pick a number, or I can actually just drag it. So if I pick 200, it's going to automatically make every measurement at on the X, Y, and Z axis go up, and it'll be 200% of its original size. And so this is 200% of the original size. If I just sort of want to eyeball it, I just want to get an idea. Because I have this as uniform scaling, what's going to happen is that no matter what scale I pick, it's going to automatically change the X, Y, and Z axis. No matter which axis I pick, it's going to actually change all three at the same time. Okay. By the way, you can print something this big, but it will take probably a day for it to print. At the very least half a day for it to print all of this, right? So usually, unless I need it big, I like to keep my prints relatively small, right? Then after that, I hit slice. And I pick some options right here. Infill density I picked for 0. That means that it won't put plastic on the inside. That means the house will be hollow, and that will make it print faster. So I'm going to show you the difference. Let's say I pick 100% infill. Okay, that means it's going to fill the whole inside with plastic as well as the outside. And I hit slice. It's going to give me a time for how long it should take. If I do the whole thing and I fill it in, it's going to take me 8 hours to print this one thing. 8 hours, okay? If I change this number to 0 and hit slice, boom, it's only 1 hour and 10 minutes. So you get the idea why you may want to use a 0 infill. Only problem is that if you go ahead and use 0 infill, it will not be as strong and sturdy. So like that, when I did the 100% infill, it would be very thick and very dense. I could probably use it for a weapon if I had to. But now with 0% infill, it's going to be relatively light. It will be sturdy, but you may be able to crush it with your hand if you apply enough pressure. So you have to decide, for one, how long you want to print, how much actual plastic you want to use in the process of making this thing, and of course how strong you want it to be. All those are things that you factor in when you're deciding how you want to print this thing. Let's go back to TinkerCAD. There's one more thing I want to show you that's a little bit more fun than useful, and I sort of look forward to sharing this with you. So let's go back to TinkerCAD, and let's go back to our little house here, and I want to show you some of these other features. Now, I did combine this together. Let's uncombine it. Okay. One of the other features you'll notice up here is that I've got this little axe. Now, for those of you who are video gamers, especially some of my younger viewers, you might notice that this axe looks very familiar. This is the Minecraft axe, and what this does is this takes any sculpture that you've made in TinkerCAD, and it automatically converts it into Minecraft blocks, tree and everything. All right, so it takes it and breaks it down into Minecraft blocks, right, which is kind of cool. All right, it even tells you the type of blocks that are being used to make it. And it does it, of course, based on more on color than on actual usefulness in the game. But you know, that's always fun to do, and I think you can make a decision as to how much detail you get for that. Okay, so this is probably more of an appropriate block, and so you use these blocks up here to change the detail. And I'm not, oh, this is ground button. Is you know what it is? Oh, it gives you and takes away ground. That's interesting also. Okay, so that's one thing it does. Let's go back to the original view, and this one right here takes your project and turns it into Lego bricks. Okay, and again, you can pick levels of detail. I'm going to use this one, right, and it actually literally turns into Lego bricks. And you can get a layer view. So if you do layers, it actually can show you the layers you would need to build it. You would print each one of these layers, and then you can get the Legos. You can make your own instructions for building stuff that you made in TinkerCAD. Now, for those of you who don't know, there is an app called Lego Digital Designer that you can use to do the same thing, and gives you pretty much all the Legos in the world. And you can create things in Legos. When you finish creating that thing in Lego, you can go ahead and literally send it to the Lego company, and they will make a custom Lego kit based on what you built in their app, and then you can buy it, and it'll come with instructions and everything. It's the coolest thing. But that's a little bit off subject, right? So you can actually, yes, decide to build this thing, and it gives you, again, several different layers of complexity. Okay, and that's just a nice thing to do. And of course, if you have friends, you can go ahead and create a link and then share that link with your friends, and your friends will be able to collaborate with you on whatever you're making in the app. And of course, you can share this with people all over the world if you like. It's up to you, right? You just download it and you can share what you've been doing here. Okay, so that was my quick TinkerCAD introduction. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. CAD, again, and using this type of software is a really great starting off point for learning how to do computer-aided design, which is what architects use in order to build buildings and urban structures, and even things like cars are designed using CAD software. So I really encourage you to play around with TinkerCAD. It's free, it won't cost you anything. It's a great way to get off into 3D printing. It's a great way to get off into architecture and design. And it's also, at the end of the day, just a whole lot of fun to go on and to find things that you like and to make them and share them with other people. I really want to thank you all for watching this video. If you did like the video, I encourage you to subscribe, and I want you all to have a nice day. Goodbye.